Hello, my name is Kirsty. Welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. Today is a very special episode. It is the first episode of Cast Off, Cast On. Today that means that I am going to be starting a new project. It's a little bit of a vlog kind of episode, and basically for the 12 Cast-Ons 2026 I had this pot with 24 different ideas. Each idea is either something that I already had yarn for or something that I could pull yarn for from my stash. And so I just wrote them all down on little pieces of paper like this, folded them up and put them in here. For 12 Cast-Ons 2026, which is a knit along hosted by Ange of Yarn and Yarns, if you have never heard of it before, where you cast on up to 12 things between the 24th of December and the 31st of January the following year. I did cast on my 12 projects, but that meant that I had 12 left over. And when I mentioned that, my dear sister, who also does a lot of knitting and sewing, suggested that I do a cast off, cast on, which is basically when I finish one of my 12 cast-ons projects, I pick out a new one from the pot. And so I am very, very, very excited to announce that this morning I cast off one of my 12 cast-on projects. The one that I cast off is actually one of my 12 cast-ons from 2025, and it does look a little bit different than what I had expected when I started it, but it is finished. Shall we go have a look together? Now, can we do it? It's done! This is the Kookaburra. It is a vest that I started, bit of a peek of our new apartment there. It was a jumper that I started for my husband, and when I finished the sleeve, or I got to the cuff of the sleeve yesterday, I still had 3 decreases left, and I was like, this is looking long enough that it should be ready. And so I checked it against his jumper that is his favorite at the moment. And yes, sure enough, it should have been starting the cuff. And so I got him to try it on, even though he didn't know it was for him and I'd been knitting it without telling him. I thought I really just need to get him to try it on to see if I need to re-knit the sleeves or not. And he tried it on, and my first thought, one sleeve was definitely long enough ready for the cuff. The other one obviously was not. My first thought was it would look really good as a vest. I didn't say that. And after he looked at it for a few minutes, he said, could you make it a vest? I think it would look better as a vest. And so I said, yeah, I can. So I ripped out the entire sleeve, and then I just picked up stitches to finish both arms with a little bit of ribbing for the vest. So that is now finished. I sewed in all the ends this morning. I have got it blocking, which is why it's sitting down there, laying down flat. We have a nice big granite topped island bench in our new apartment, and so that's just there blocking. But yeah, so then I thought, well, that means I get to pick a new project. Now, confession time, I have no idea what the 12 projects are anymore. I remembered 2. One, because I actually went back to check one of my 12 cast-on videos for some project information. And I mentioned a different one or yarn that I had for a different project, and I thought, oh, that was one of the 12 cast-ons. And one that I've been looking at the yarn in my new setup every few days thinking I would love to make that. So if that one's pulled, brilliant. And I can think of one other project. So I can think of maybe 3 out of the 12. So what I'm going to do right now, without further ado, is pick a new project and see if I've got needles yet, and see if I can cast it on. Normally for 12 cast-ons, I would take you through a bit of what we're doing in the day, and we may do that. I may do that today as well. I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing. My in-laws are here, and actually the whole family has just gone out to get ice cream, and I was so tired. So I've had a nap, woken up from my nap, and I thought, the house is quiet, let's record. So I'm not sure if I'll be going out this afternoon or not, but I am gonna start a new project. So let's have a look. I've got one Let's have a look. Oh, this is an interesting one. This has been on my list for a long time. It is a Nudeden dress. Now, it says Gudlet. I have the pattern, I have the yarn, and I have been really scared to cast it on, honestly. I have no idea how I'm going to find knitting a dress out of Nudeden. I don't know if I'm going to want to wear the dress. So Nudeden, if you don't know, is an unspun yarn. I believe a lot of it is Icelandic style yarn, but definitely like it's longer, staple length, and so it can be a bit coarser. Letlopi or Plotalopi is the same kind of yarn, except Nudeden is made different company. And I have quite a lot of Nudeden now because I've been wanting to knit with it, and I love the colors and it's all beautiful, but I've been too scared to actually start it. So I guess this means I'm going to start it. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to have a look and see what the pattern that I want to knit recommends. I'm going to get out the yarn and I'm just going to start it. You ready for this? This is going to be interesting. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. So I did have the pattern, I've already bought it, which tells you how close I've been to casting this on a few times. And I think I'm going to be pretty okay with starting it because to start it, you actually knit the sleeves first. So I've been really worried about color placement and how to do the colors in the yoke. But you actually start with the sleeve. So I only need to pick 2 colors to start with. I will put the picture up here in case I didn't already. So this is knit out of Icelandic yarn. The original ones, or the pattern was designed for Letlopi, which is a singles twist, like a singles Icelandic yarn. But one of the patterns, or one of the sample knits, I guess, was done in Plotalopi, which is an unspun Icelandic yarn, which is very similar to Nudeden. So the other thing that I was concerned about was gauge. I don't like gauge swatching. And I especially didn't want to gauge swatch with unspun yarn because what would I couldn't take it out easily because it's unspun. And what I mean by unspun, this is some of the Nudeden that I have. And you can see maybe that it's just very, it's just a thin roving. It's just a bit of yarn that's there. Now you can spin this, and for binding off and stuff, I've heard Jana of Finish Knitting Stories does often spin it at least into a singles or do a 2-ply for binding off so that it doesn't keep breaking. But yes, so this is, I'm not even sure what color this is because it was in a bag that I just pulled out. I do have 2 balls of this, or 2 plates of this color because I was thinking of doing a shawl. But this is, yes, this is the Nudeden. I did bring out some Plotalopi so you could, Plotalopi, so you could see the difference. And between the Nudeden and Plotalopi, it is very, very similar. Now, Nudeden, when you buy cakes, does specify every cake is different, every color is different, and so they really say do gauge swatch, check if it's going to work for what you want. You buy it by weight, not by meterage. So I have over here, I have a couple of these, which is 300 grams. This color is Oracle, and this is a pale green, also very, very beautiful. When I originally bought yarn to make this dress, this is my main color, and I think I had 600 grams of it because 300 wasn't going to be enough. And so I got 600 so that I would be sure that I had enough. The other thing is I wasn't sure if I would be holding it single or double. I just read through the pattern and it specifies if you're doing it with Letlopi how much you need. If you're doing it with Plotalopi, then you need to do a size up. So the gauge between Letlopi and Plotalopi isn't hugely different apparently. And so I'm going to follow the Plotalopi instructions which means I'm going to be doing a large, the 4th size. This dress, it had extra small, small, medium, large. So yes, I'm doing the large. And hoping that that will work for my size. In terms of colour, I wasn't sure. So I bought this, and I bought this, and I bought a grey thinking that that would be my colour 3. And the grey was quite dark, almost as dark as this. No, not quite as dark as this, but it was quite dark. And so in the pattern, they have the medium colour as the main colour, and then they have a lighter colour and a darker colour as the contrast colours. I wanted my darker colour to be my main colour, and that's what's been causing me a bit of tension around colour choosing in this one. So what I'm thinking and leaning towards now is these 3, where main colour, this will be most of the colour work on the yoke, and this one will be the little pops of the darker colour. I think that will work nicely. Having these 2 as the main colour and the other green as the pops, I think would just be a much lighter yoke than I would really want, and the contrast between them is quite high. So I think those 2 as the main colour in the yoke, and the little pops is what I'm leaning towards. The other one that I have here is the mustard, and so I thought I could do those 3 together, but if I did that, those 2 would be the main 2 colours, and the mustard I would use as the pop. And like, I could do that, that would be gorgeous, but I really want a blue dress, not a mustard dress. So yeah, I think I've decided on these ones. So I think the next thing is to cast it on. I did mention briefly before, I will show you, I've got my needles here. I've got 4.5mm circulars. It does say do it on DPNs, but I do not have DPNs in 4.5mm. So I'm going to do it with my 9-inch circulars and hope that that's all right, at least to start with. I am not sure about doing magic loop because the yarn is so fragile. Like, if you look at that, it is quite a, at some points, thin and fragile yarn. So I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure actually whether I'm going to have to end up holding it double anyway. Some bits look much more robust and some bits look quite thin. And I think I've heard if you do get bits that are super thin like that, you can just actually, yeah, hold it double, or yeah, it's going to be an adventure. Let's put it that way. So the cuffs are done in 2 colours, and then the knitting of the sleeve continues in 1 colour. So I'm going to cast on and see how I go. This is one thing I love about 12 cast-ons, and if you're new here, welcome. 12 cast-ons for me, and for a lot of people actually, is a way to get things on the needles that you've been waiting to do for a while and just haven't got around to it. But for me, one of the things that I love about 12 cast-ons is if I haven't got around to starting a project, there's usually a reason. Sometimes it's just that I don't really care about the project. Sometimes or more often, it's that I've got a bit of a roadblock, something that I don't quite understand about the project. I am actually going to do the cast on doubled over rather than single layer, so that it has a little bit more oomph and strength. I also know that a lot of people will pull from the center for let loopy, or for plotter loopy, and I'm going to go from the outside. So I'm going to cast on while I chat to you about this instead of doing one at a time. What was I saying? So yes, different people have different approaches to 12 cast-ons, but mine is I put everything in a box that I want to do, and then whatever comes out is what I start. The thing is, yeah, if I haven't started it, I usually haven't started it for a reason, and so it's really great when it pulls out, when I pull it out and I'm like, oh, this is what I'm starting, is I just start it. I don't have the, oh, maybe I won't, maybe I'll do something else. It's like, this is what I pulled out, this is what I'm starting. And because that decision is made, it actually frees up my mind to make the other decisions around the project. Like this one. If I was like, maybe I'll start this today, maybe I won't, I would look at all the colors and I'd go, yeah, that's too hard. I'm not starting that today. But because I said, I'm doing the 12 cast-ons today because I cast off one, yay. Because I said I'm going to cast on a new project, I'm going to pick it from the box, and this is the one that came out, that decision is already made. And so now it's just a matter of choosing which colors and starting it. I have to say, reading the pattern and realizing that there is instructions for the thinner yarn, huge. That is very, very, very exciting for me. Reading the instructions and finding out that it's actually done bottom up, in this case, also huge and very exciting for me, because I was really nervous about that. Let me just check. 5, 10, 15, 20, yeah, okay. Doing it doubled over makes it much, much, much thicker, and I do not have enough. So I'm gonna have to undo this anyway. How many times can I undo yarn? See, look, I just broke it already. That's all right. When I break it, I've already been told, do a split slice. Just rubbing it together a bit to join it up again. Because it's not superwash, just a bit of heat and friction. Look at that, so good. All right, what am I doing? Casting on again. Let's see if I have enough this time. I'm doing this over 1 needle. If you've been here any length of time, you know I normally cast on over 2, but using a 9-inch circular, that becomes harder. And because I'm using unspun, I'm casting on quite loosely anyway, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Plus, it's just for a cuff. It's not needing to go over my head or anything like that. Yeah, so doing it from the bottom up. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of bottom up. But in this case, I think because the yoke is the scary bit, and I'm already kind of scared of this project, meaning it's just a completely new, other to me project, I'm pretty happy to be starting with, yeah, a little bit of ribbing and then lots of stockinette in one colour. And that will help me get used to the yarn and the feel of it all before I then jump into the colour work. Normally, I love doing colour work yokes first and then getting into the vanilla knitting. But in this case, I think what a great, great option to do that last. I don't know if you just heard that, but my stomach rumbled. I realised I haven't had lunch yet. So I should get some lunch soon, but I would love to get this started. Properly started. I am going to do the long sleeves, I've decided. The pattern is written for either long or short sleeves, and yeah, I think what I want this to be is a dress that I can wear in the winter or in the cold. Because it's warm, like because it's wool, I should be able to wear it in cold weather without lots of layers. The pattern does say that it's designed that you can wear it, you know, in a light mist or in snow, and that sounds delightful to me, to be able to wear this for a walk in the snow. All right, I'm just going to count stitches. 5. All right, I got the same amount both times, so I'm going to say that that is good, and I'm going to start actually knitting. So I still have a bit of a tail that's doubled over. For the other end though, I'm going to start knitting with just 1 strand, not 2. Let's see if I can knit with unspun without breaking it, hey? I did wonder, and the cuff is 2 colours, so I'm getting out my second colour if I can find the end. I did wonder if I should knit the whole thing held double, but because it has instructions for plotter lobby, which is very similar to knitted, I'm going to go ahead and do it as the instructions say. This already feels very weird to me. So it's a 2-colour rib. I don't know if it just feels extra weird because the cast on is so thick and the others are not. But because it's a 2-colour rib, I'm knitting with one colour and purling with the other colour. And so it's just a new sensation. You ever do that when you knit? You're like, oh, this is completely other. Which is one of the things I love about the 12 cast-ons, is that generally, because they're the projects that I've been scared to cast on, or have had a roadblock with casting them on, when I actually get to them, I'm like, oh, this is actually really fun and different. And today, that is really refreshing to have something that is just fun and different. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to edit and upload this vlog, but I did just finish 2 quillos yesterday. So I finished the 12 cast on vest this morning, but yesterday I finished 2 quillos, which is a quilt that folds into a pillow. So today is the 1st of June. I didn't even say that earlier. Today is the 1st of June, and in Poland that is Children's Day, Dzień Dzieci. And so I had planned to make them quillos, and I had started making them. I had found the tops for these quillos in an op shop a long time ago, and I had just never got around to turning them into something for the kids. And so when I had a few days left, I had everything I needed, and so I was like, yeah, let's do this, let's make it for Dzień Dzieci. And so I spent a few days, ironing and pulling it out and cutting this to size and cutting that to size and sewing up the backing. But when it came to yesterday, I just hadn't finished either of them. And so I spent last night frantically cutting and sewing, and I didn't iron anymore. And I did get them both done, and the children loved them, and I saw them playing and wrapping themselves in quillos. And one of the best things about quillos, if you've never had a quillo, is that because it folds into a pillow, there's a little pouch on the back that becomes the cushion cover, and that pouch is perfect for your feet. And so it's kind of like, in some ways, like a blanket sleeping bag, in that your feet are always covered and you can pull it up around your neck and your feet will not become uncovered. It is, there goes my stomach again, it is delightful to have a quillo. And I've made them for my nieces and nephews, all 5 of them, but I hadn't made any for my children yet, who are the youngest, so that's why. But yeah, so I made it, they were very excited. They'd found my one that my grandma had made me when I was a little kid. And so yeah, they were very excited to have their own ones, and they've been running around in them all morning. In fact, my daughter's is still over there on the floor. She laid it out and has just been lying on it. So yeah, that was my night last night. And then I finished the vest for my husband this morning. And so yeah, today is a lovely day to cast on something new, and to cast on something new that is other, because that makes it feel a bit like a holiday. I just realised you can't actually see what I'm knitting at all while I talk to you about my children and my sewing and everything else. I will show the quillos on the next regular episode. But let's have a look and see. This is feeling quite As I knit, it's a strange sensation. As I knit, it feels quite, what's the word? Delicate. But when I look at what I've already knit, it looks fine. So let me show you. I think the other thing is, as I'm knitting this, I'm going to use this as a little bit of a swatch. And if I end up choosing to go down a size or to not do as many increases for the arm, then that's fine. I do also tend to knit sleeves smaller, like my gauge is a bit tighter than a body. So if I'm like, this is way too big or way too small, I'm going to use the sleeve as an option to figure that out. But let's see, this is just the very, very beginning. Look at that. So I've got both colours there. The knits are in one colour, the pearls are in the other, but I've only done 2 pearls, and the first pearl bump is in the main colour anyway, because the cast on was in the main colour. So I'm going to knit a little bit more. If I put this down, maybe you can see better of what I'm knitting. I'm going to knit a little bit more, and then I'm going to get some food because I am getting quite hungry. But yeah, oh, this is so exciting. I have had this yarn for a couple of years. I've wanted to try this yarn probably since I started watching Jana of Finished Knitting Stories, because she loves it. She's a Patreon for Knitted and Yarn, and she buys a lot, and she knits a lot of beautiful things with Knitted in. And I had never tried unspun at all. It was very other to me, but I also had just moved to Poland, where winters are cold and you get snow and you need to have actual warm clothes, because I'm from Australia, if you don't know that, and so in Australia everything's quite warm. But yes, I'd moved to Poland and therefore winters, and so the idea of having a light dress that is a full-on dress that is warm enough to wear in the snow is just incredible to me. So I'm very excited. It is summer. It is, I mean, today's only, what, 18, 19 degrees here, but it is getting warmer here. And so starting a dress in summer seems a little strange, but at the same time, if I want to wear it in winter, I need to start it not in winter, which is another reason I keep putting this off, because I'm like, I don't want to knit it in summer, and so I won't start it in summer. But then when it comes to winter, I'm like, there's no way I can knit that entire dress in winter and still wear it. So I'll wait until summer, and it just keeps going back and forward. So now it's being started, and I can work on it as I can. All right, so this is where I'm up to. I've done a little bit of the cuff. It is looking a little bit thin in places, but I will go with it. I know that it'll probably bloom when I block it. So I'm going to stop there and make myself some lunch, and I will check in a little bit later when I do a little bit more. But yeah, so far that is looking, I mean, quite big, but it is a ribbing, so we'll see if that comes in a little bit as it gets a little bit longer. All right, I will check in again later. Bye. Hello, good evening. It is 11 past 6 in the evening, or the afternoon. Still very bright outside. What did I have to say? It's been pretty good afternoon. I mentioned before that I thought everyone else would be getting lunch out, and so I made myself the ham and cheese toasties. And then they all brought home lunch, and it was Georgian baked goods and ponchki, which is donuts. So I had a second lunch with everyone else. And then I don't even remember what we did after that. Sat down, had some cuddles and games with my daughter. I did just finish making a pavlova. I didn't take any footage of that because me and my daughter were making it together. But whipped up a pavlova, put that in the oven. Very excited for that. And I did a little bit more on this. So I have started the sleeve proper. The yarn keeps breaking. I expected this would happen because it's knitted in. It's probably happening more than I expected, but I am still getting used to knitting with unspun. So that's fine. It's very easy to join again when it breaks, so I'm not worried about it. That is what I've got. You can see it's quite see-through, and since this is a dress, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know how much it's going to puff up once it's blocked. And there were instructions to put it in the machine. Now, it was written for Letlopi and Plotlopi, and so I'm not sure if the instructions to put it in the machine were Plotlopi as well, but it makes me think maybe like the instructions are a little bit to have it felted, but definitely that would help fill it in a little bit. I just don't know how much that would shrink. So I'm not quite sure. It is fitting with a fair bit of room at the moment, quite comfortably. So yeah, if it was to shrink a little bit, I wouldn't mind, but I think I'll have a little look into that. And if you've knit anything with Plotlopi or Nudiden before, I would love to know. Once you finished it, did it shrink? Did it fill in some of those gaps? The other thing is the color choice. This is why people swatch, isn't it? Both checking how the yarn behaves and the colors. The color choice here, I'm actually wondering if I would have liked it better with the beigey color instead of the green as the main color. So anyway, I'm going to keep going with this. I'm not ripping it back. I'm not going to just break it off and call it quits for this. But I am wondering, so what I'm going to do is, at the moment, I'm going to do both sleeves this way, and then if I'm still wondering at the end of that, when I start the body, I may just start with the grey instead of the green for the hem of the body. Not quite sure yet. Anyway, so that is, sorry, my arm's getting sore because I'm holding up the phone this time. That is where I'm up with this one. I'm not actually sure if I'm going to knit any more on this tonight. Oh, you can see my stitch markers here for the increases because it's bottom up for the sleeve. And I've just counted out how many increases I have and put that amount of stitch markers there, because they're regular increases. I can just knit without looking at the pattern until all those stitch markers are gone, and then check the pattern again from there. Yeah, so anyway, that's where I'm up to. I am enjoying it. I am so glad that this has been started. It has been years since I planned to make this, and a couple of years since I bought the yarn for it. So very exciting. And starting with the cuff, very low risk, which has made it beautiful. I think it's exactly what I needed. Oh, I'm dropping it now. Exactly what I needed today was a new project that I could just get engrossed in a little bit. So yeah, I am, what am I going to do? I'm going to say I'm not going to work on this again today. It is getting late, and I don't want to work on this when I'm too tired tonight, because I will probably keep breaking the yarn and keep getting annoyed. But also, it is feeling pretty warm in here, and working with this yarn is making me feel warm. So I think I'm ready to put this away and pull out a different project for today. I might work on some socks tonight because it's summer sock camp, and I have 4 pairs of socks on the go. 4 of which I would love to get finished in June. So I'm going to pop this away, and pull out some socks for this evening. But yeah, so there you go. Thank you so much for coming and joining me today for Cast Off, Cast On. Oh, now there's a car alarm going off. Sorry if you can hear that. I have to say, I was a little bit wondering. In fact, I almost didn't cast off the jumper because I was like, am I ready for a cast on? I'm trying not to have lots of project bags around, and I want to finish things and have them finished. But I am very, very happy that I had such a great excuse to cast on today, and that I finally tackled this project that has been waiting for way too long. So, thank you very much. If you have finished any 12 cast-ons projects, did you cast on something else straight away, or just be happy that it was finished? And if you're not doing 12 cast-ons, when you do like a cast-off, cast-on for your normal things? Do you only have a few projects on the needles? Do you have everything on the needles? I'm really interested to know how everyone approaches their projects. That alarm just keeps going off. I don't know if that's super loud for you or not, but if it is, I'm really sorry. I will see you again next time. Happy making. Bye.